Good evening and welcome to the episode of the Black Tuesday podcast. We have a lot to get into tonight, so I'm just gonna be real quick with the intro and then bring in Obi, and I got a bunch of fact fiction questions about his trip to the Bay. So basically, the Raiders choked away a chance at closing out the show at the Coliseum the right way. They had a lead, they squandered that. That said, let's get into it. My co-host, he is the world traveling, jet flying, Uber riding, man about town, author, a karaoke Hall of Famer. He's all that. He justifies a spot for Awale being anywhere in the rap conversation just for being from the same general area, same region. He makes Wale possible. My man Malik Obi. Obi, what's cracking?
What's up, T?
Man, let's get into it.
It's so much. Yeah, I was gonna say it's so much to get into. Let's just get into it.
All right, I got some fact or fiction to you because you actually flew to the last game of Oakland. So, first fact or fiction, your your food experience in Oakland was better than you thought it would be. Fact or fiction?
Fact. That's a fact. I wouldn't say utterly surprised, but I pretty much got some really good recommendations, and I really thought it could be hit or miss, but they were pretty hit. I mean, I started off at Fong's, which is a local East Oakland breakfast spot that people frequent. Somebody told me to get the kitchen sink. I said, that sounds disgusting, but I'm going to try it, I go there, I get the kitchen sink, and I'm like, well, damn. It was pretty damn good, So I was very happy about that. In terms of some of the other places I went to Lena's Soul Food. I wanted to go to, is it Living Soul? A couple of people recommended that to me, but somehow a soul food place is closed on a Saturday, so that threw me off. But Lena's was pretty good, except their cornbread. If somebody is from Lena's is listening, please, that burnt-ass cornbread is not going to cut it. But it was pretty good aside from that, So, that was that. And then I went to, a couple other spots like, a couple of local spots for different things, pizza and stuff like that. Everything was pretty good. I can't lie. So that's definitely a fact.
Now, the next thing, true fact or fiction, the tailgate experience for the last time at the Coliseum was your best tailgate experience you ever had.
That's a fact too. Um, that's a fact. It's just different. I've been to so many, Raiders tailgates in other cities that, you know, experiencing it in the Mecca, experiencing it in Oakland, it's just like, it was surreal to me because going from BWI, which is Baltimore Washington Airport, to Oakland, straight flight, there was so many people headed to Oakland, and people are always going to different places, but I just felt it like from going there. Everybody's like, hey, you going to the Raiders game, and and it was just like, man, it was this music feeling. But when you get there, because the hotel we had was literally 8 to 10 minutes away from the stadium, so when you see it, and it's like, okay, I can't wait to get over there. And then when you finally get over there, and you gotta wait to get in the parking lot, and you smell that weed, and you hear the Mac Dre and all of that stuff. It's just something that just hits you. And as for me as a minority, being around so many blacks and Hispanics and Asians and working class white people and just common folk, because that's what the Raider Nation is just really everyday people that just got a love for the team for whatever the reason is. And it was like, damn, this is where it's at, So I was just like, damn, this is where I want to be. And man, let me just tell you, it was a hell of an experience. I was meeting random people along the way. There was a point where we had we had to drink our beers before we went into the stadium, and had a great conversation with some people there. It was just like, it was just so much, man. It was a truly amazing experience. Truly amazing.
All
That's a
right,
fact
true
as
or
well.
false? The Derek Carr has pretty. You have pretty much made up your mind about Derek Carr.
Yep, that's a fact. That's 100% fact. I think that this is the last year that Derek Carr will be the Raiders quarterback. 100%. And seeing it up close and personal, it was ugly. I mean, it was a very winnable game. It wasn't all on him, but he did have play a part in it. And then the thing that people are overlooking is this guy is talking about I just want to be with my family and stuff. I mean, like, what are you saying? You want to retire? What are you saying? So I think this is it for him. But I had already decided in my mind that this is it. But I definitely think that is it. This is it right now.
True or false? The amount of Carr support is either people who support Carr don't support the team, or people who support the team don't support Carr.
That's true. I mean, it seems like people, instead of Raiders fans, they're Carr fans, or they're not Carr fans, and they want to see Carr fail instead of just caring about the Raiders. I mean, it's really split in the middle. That's what it seems like. And I thought it was just the internet. It's not. It's really not. And a lot of conversations I had. Like I said, I went to Ricky's, the famous Ricky's bar. I was in Walmart when Lester Hayes was signing autographs. I got to talk to a lot of different people and see their perspectives. And some people feel like Derek Carr is the greatest thing to walk this earth, and then some people are like, well, you know what? You know, he's holding us back, and it's very mixed. It's very mixed. So it's something that I definitely took notice of, and it's kind of surreal to say, well, damn, this is not just an internet thing. This is not just a Twitter thing. There's people out here that really, really feel like this, and it's really a big split.
Who is, all right, true or false? You met either somebody who has listened to our show or might listen to our show while at the game.
True. A couple of people actually. It was kind of weird. Not that they listen, but it's just kind of weird to be like, oh, Malik Obi, like, I'm literally just like, you know, walking through the tailgate. I'm actually, looking for a friend to get some food, and somebody tapped me on my shoulder, and I'm just like, scanning the face. I don't know this person. I'm 4,000 miles away from home, and they're like, telling me all about the show and this and that and the other. It's just like, wow, it was definitely true. That's definitely true.
Were they fans or were they like not sure?
No, they were definitely fans of the show. Like I listen every Tuesday and this and that and the other. It was really cool. It was cool
Okay.
after the fact, and at the moment I was kind of shocked.
All right, true or false? Even though Paul Gunther will probably be on the staff next year, there is no current linebacker that should be on the team.
Now we've had this discussion so many times, and I want to say Nick Morrow. The only reason I'm going to say him is because the Raiders got to have some type of depth. I mean, he has to. I think he saves, but everybody else. I mean, even though Will Compton has came in and he's trying his best and everything, I can't see him sticking around either. So I mean, I just say one. I just say Morrow.
All right, true or false? There was mention of violence and at the after the game. Was this true?
From people, from the fan, like, did I hear that from fans?
Or did you see it yourself?
No, I didn't see any. I didn't personally see any violence. What I did see was about 5 people trying to steal chairs and seats, and a couple of people got caught. That's what I did see. Um, and I actually seen one person get away with it. They had a whole chair down their pants, but that's another thing. But in terms of, did I actually see anybody hit anybody or start a fight with anybody? No.
True or false? The way the Raiders ended the run in Oakland, you have less faith in John Gruden than you did at the start of the season.
True. Excuse me. That's definitely true. Right now I'm just like, you know, how did I mean? And if anybody understands the importance of that moment, it's him. Like how did you lose that game? How did you lose that game? I know it's any given Sunday, but the Raiders were up 16-3. They didn't score a second half point. I think they had less than 50 yards passing. That was terrible play calling. It was terrible clock management. And I mean, I know people are sitting here talking about the what happened with the slide and everything, but come on, man, it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. They blew this game. They really blew it, and people have the right to be upset. I mean, this is the same John Gruden that held the party at Ricky's and told the people, look, I'm gonna restore the fate. I'm gonna do it for Oakland and this and that and the other. And what happened? It's like, come on. It was ugly. I mean, it was really ugly to see so many people. I mean, I literally when people started at 12:30 or their time and everything, and people started going into that stadium, it was deafening. See, I could not hear. People were excited about that game, and the outcome. It was just like, man, it was a complete 180 from that moment. It was ugly, man. I definitely feel like John Gruden lost a lot of people that said, okay, well, maybe he's up to something. Give him time and stuff like this. This was a terrible way to go out for them.
True. All right. Last one. True or false? In doing this show and being a writer, and being someone who studies the game with a nuanced eye for details that may either go over the head of some or slide by people, you have to stagger or alter your conversations with certain people because you already know that either they're like severely in their fandom or you're going to have to dumb down what you say.
That's true. I now I say this, and you understand. I'm saying this in the most sincere way, but in person, the average person, I feel like, doesn't understand the nuances of what they're seeing from the Raiders and on the field and everything. Like, not like so when we go on a flight to the combine and stuff, and you got all these coaches and players and ex-players and et cetera on the flight, and you can have those in-depth conversations, but the average fan is just like, what's on the surface, like, and that's true. I mean, it's like sometimes you just have to put things on the surface. Like, I had a conversation with someone after the game about Cleveland Farrell and how well he played against the run and everything, and they didn't they didn't see it that way because of the fact that he didn't have any sacks. And I'm just like, well, there's more to it than that. It's and I just said, okay, well, I can't knock him because at the end of the day, I mean, you're the fourth overall draft pick. People have high expectations for you. I can't be mad at them for feeling that way, even though it's deeper than that. I think a lot of times people have this notion of defensive tackles, and it's like, if they don't have 3 sacks a game, if they're not all performing like Aaron Donald, then they're not good, and that's not true. So I definitely agree with that. That's fact. And I say that to say that I'm not saying that I know it all or anything like that, because sometimes I just sit and listen. I listen to T, I read T stuff. Sometimes I have no idea what he's talking about, but it's just like, it's a learning lesson. Well, sometimes I'll read something from somebody, and it's just like, okay, well, let me go read that and see if I can come to the same conclusion. Or how did they get to that, or what does this terminology mean? I might have knew it a different way, So, yeah, it's always a learning lesson.
I got one last one for you.
Mm-hmm.
Just before our guest calls, true or false? Just general football. PFF is an inaccurate or somewhat nebulous form of grading football that people either overrate or overblow.
That's true. I say that because they're held to a standard that I don't understand because of the fact that nobody can tell me how they came to the conclusion of where they get their metric system. What is it? I mean, people tell you it's how you don't understand it. It's computerized. It's this and that. Well, explain it to me then, because I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand. How did they come to these conclusions or whatever? Like, how did you get? How do you do this grading system? And what are some of the things that are accounted for? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand it. So at some point, it's become to where the computer system has taken over the eye test. And with that being said, there's something wrong with that. You know, you're telling me what I see doesn't matter because of a computer. Well, this is a sport where it's all about what you see. So that's basically kind of, I look at it as a scapegoat for saying I don't really understand what I'm watching. I'm relying on formulas and stuff. And I think that's false. I think that's a bad thing to put in people's mind that, you know, this is what's best and this is how this should work and this and that and the other. I don't really like that. I think that they have the right to do their own thing. But I don't like that their word is law for a lot of things.
And I think that people who look like they will frame PFF to bolster their argument, but they really can't tell you what those numbers mean. Where, just like you said, it's the eye test. All day or whenever we write and somebody sends a comment, it's like, well, PFF says this. My first question in determining if I should continue the conversation with somebody is this: what did you see? What do your eyes tell you? If they can't form any clear or coherent conversation, it ends because I'm interested in trying to find out what people think they see or what they are trying to articulate. I don't really care what whack formula or weird formula people may have. And on whatever level, I think PFF also, the fact that Chris Collinsworth has a large stake in it and he actually broadcasts the game, I think that doesn't sit right with me.
Mm-hmm.
And it just
100%.
it doesn't feel right. It's like if it's a while back, Mel Kiper got in trouble for dealing with an agent named Gary Wishard as far as he was accused of hyping up Gary Wishard's agents, his clients during the draft process, and even on the actual days of the draft. That doesn't fit right. That doesn't sit right with me. You're doing something out of the largest conflict of interest we possibly could have, and I just think that
Right.
PFF. I just want people to like watch the game and tell you what you see. Like there's so many people who will just sit there and just jump behind the phone or tablet and say, well, um, Chris Morton said this, so this is that. The best stat base or stat database is Pro Football Reference. The best. Those numbers are plain and they're clear, and there's no really like those numbers are based on actual formula that you can see. Pro Football Reference give you no there's no explanation needed and there's no kind of weirdness to it. If you take those stats and you watch film, it's right there. People always ask me, they're like, well, how do you manage to watch this film? Like, watching film, all you do is keep watching it over and over, take notes, and that's pretty much what we do. It's football, just like you said, it's one of those things, it's a nuance value. It's a nuanced take. As we wait for our guests, so we got one more true false. I just found this one. True or false? The Raiders don't currently have a wide receiver on the roster that is worth a roster spot outside of Hunter Renfrow because he's on a rookie deal.
True. First of all, the Raiders can opt out from
Terrell Williams.
Tyrell Williams. Second of all, Zay Jones has not done absolutely anything. Keelan Doss, I mean, hometown kid, he's got a long ways to go. They don't have anything. They don't have anything. They don't have a threat. They don't have any weapons. They don't have anything except for Darren Waller. What do they have that's going to scare people? I don't see it. No. Fact. That's 100% fact.
And that's my issue. It's a problem. It's more of the, yes, Carr is reached his ceiling, but there's no separation, and it's tough. So, with that said, I want to bring on our guest. She's been on the show before, and honestly, like, no one ever knows what she's gonna say or what she thinks, but chances are you'll learn something and you'll laugh. Like, she has the calmest and nicest Southern accent, but says the most wildly profane and hilarious things. She should honestly be the voice of Siri. Like, Siri needs to be her voice. Like, this needs to happen, because honestly, people would just pull their cars over and laugh. Our friend Meg B. Meg, what is going on?
Hello.
Welcome, Meg.
The voice of Siri. Oh my God.
Well,
Nobody wants to listen to a liberal redneck, honey.
See, that is it. We have a bunch of topics and apparently a bunch of people to drag, which I'm actually okay with that.
Yeah.
First thing I want to talk about, Meg. Meg also is a diehard North Carolina fan. She's a season ticket holder. She will tell the greatest engagement story in the history of engagement stories later on, but let's get through the heavy stuff first. Meg, there's Silent Sam. For those who don't know, Silent Sam is a Confederate monument that is on the campus, and it came to light.
Yeah, it was on the campus. They put it up there in 1913. Jim Crow era.
And on August 20th, 2018, the students toppled old Silent Sam, and apparently the Sons of the Confederate veterans threatened to sue. And there is a monuments law in North Carolina that says that you cannot remove a public monument or a public statue.
Yeah, it basically a state-funded monument. So the Republicans in the state legislature quickly passed a law saying, like, oh no, if you take our, participation trophies, you have to pay for it's like upkeep or it's transfer to like a museum or whatever. And it's just the amount of money that they're spending on this, refurbishing it and moving it to wherever they want is just ridiculous. $2.5 million to
from the school. And now Silent Sam is the property of the Sons of the Confederate Veterans, and in exchange for $74,999, they can't put any Confederate flags on any of the state campuses. And Meg, as a proud North Carolinian and a Tar Heel through and through, like, when you read this, what thoughts went through your mind?
Are you fucking kidding me? My first thought was, they just need to melt. I wish they could just melt it down into a porta potty, honestly. But I just think all of, getting rid of it is just ridiculous to spend that amount of money on it. And I just wish they wouldn't, bow down to like certain donors and stuff like that. Because it's just ridiculous. Orange County is pretty liberal, anyways. They just have too many MAGA donors and old rich white dudes that fill up all the front rows and take up more space than the students, and it's just ridiculous.
That would annoy me. Obi, you live in Maryland, and folks historically have said,
Baltimore.
yes, Obi lives in the Baltimore, actually in PG County, in the Baltimore area. People from the north consider Maryland as like the gateway to the south. How prevalent, Obi, is the Confederate flag in Maryland?
Well, you know, I'll be honest with you. Like we've had this discussion before about the division of the state of Maryland, liberal versus Republican. Anything Republican now, it's a heavy dosage of Republicans the closer you get to West Virginia. So that's a little ways for me. But with that being said, if you want to, now you'll start seeing Confederate flags when you go further southern to the southernmost point of Maryland. When you're headed towards the Carolinas and stuff like that, and certain parts of Virginia. But in this instance, where we're at, you're not going to see it. I mean, you got to really be bold, even in the predominantly white areas, to do the whole Confederate flag thing. Like even a Trump sticker on a car in PG County, Baltimore City, etc. is, that's very uncommon. It's very uncommon. Prince George's County especially, you're not going to see it. I mean, and we have little pockets. We have little pockets of where it's like large concentrations of white, but these are really liberal, white people, so it's very rare to see something like that.
Now, Meg, you live in North Carolina, and for those who don't know, like North Carolina it could pretty much be its own country. It's so diverse as far as the terrain going from west to east, north to south. How would you explain not just the physical map or the political map of Carolina as far as the differences?
Well, as far as the liberal areas, it's almost like an archipelago. It goes from like Wilmington, Fayetteville, the Triangle area down to Charlotte. And those are pretty liberal. And, pretty much the further away you get from civilization, you got the most small-minded folks. Which is, I think most places are probably like that. But, yeah. I think most of it's in the mountains, too. Well, the mountains are really bad for that. They're kind of the same way Obi said about West Virginia and the mountains of Virginia. You can tell those folks that just they don't get out much besides watching Fox News. Because I mean, you still see the occasional like Trump sticker around here, but I know there was some high school youngins that had a Confederate flag on their truck and that got confiscated. And they were told that they could only have the American flag or a flag with the school's name on it. The parents were mad as hell, but whatever. I'll take small progress.
It's a start. I know here in Wisconsin, you have pretty much like 4 or 5 liberal areas, pretty much the cities of like Milwaukee, Madison, Superior, big cities. Otherwise, you go 10 minutes outside that city, you know immediately that you are not like anyone else. Like you get those looks like, oh, are you from Milwaukee? Are you from Chicago? Why? I just thought that you had a Chicago accent. No, I don't. From Connecticut. Where is that? Somebody, I've been here 15 years and people have asked me that about 3,000 times. Where is that? Yep. I'm like, go to New York, hang a right. Really? Why would I make this shit up? I can't. Now, with that said, I know that we have a bunch of Carolina-related topics, but I kind of want to talk about something that I saw over the weekend, and the first person I thought of was Obi. Let me kind of give you the background. A few months ago, we had a guest, and we were talking about Yes Jules. Yes Jules is a culture vulture, basically. And Yes Jules has said her own word that she has used her feminine wiles to get far in the rap game or the music game. Her words. Obi used her words. The guest was cool with it at the time. The next day, all it was, well, Obi's a misogynist. He's this, he's that. I'm like, nah, I have no Obi for it for the longest time. I listened to that show about 50, 11 times, and it is nowhere close. He used her own words to describe her, and the amount of white tears and outrage, for yes, Jules, just it angered me because the part that kills me is I pretty much had to lose not so much a good friend, but just a friend because I'm like, no, I really can't be having someone I consider family being accused of some shit that they didn't do. And there was a whole bunch of controversy. It was a whole bunch of nonsense. But with that said, yes, Jules posted a picture of herself. I can't even explain it. Obi, explain the picture I sent to you.
Well, see, to make things short, she had some braids in her hair. I mean, no big deal, right? White women have been wearing braids since Bo Derek, right? No big deal. The big deal is that this woman is very aware of the controversy that she's caused on her own. On so many instances that she knows that is going to be an issue, not because she's white, but because of who she is and because of the things that she's done, using the N-word, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, and then she knows that there's a large community of black and white men and women that will cape for her and say, well, why can't she do it, this and that and the other? It was an accident. She was young, this and that and the other. I mean, like, come on. It happens all the time. So she's kind of like Teflon in a sense. And it's kind of annoying because it's like, it's so many times that we see this woman get away with doing some crazy stuff. And it's not like that it's really out of the norm. It's just that because who she is, and she knows that she can get away with it.
I mean, I saw that. I'm like, why is she having like those things on her hair? Like, it just doesn't. It doesn't fit her. It doesn't fit like what she's about. She's like those girls in college that you would see at like a coffee shop who tried to have the black experience. And my thought was, well, you can't really have the black experience in a coffee shop, but I'm sure that there are other locations for having that experience. But moving on, Meg, when you see yes, Jules, just her whole style, her whole affect, her whole oh, her whole being. What goes through your mind when you see somebody using a culture that is not theirs to make themselves appear like they're with it, like they're with the cause or down?
Well, she's not with the cause because there's been multiple instances where she has said really horrifying things about black women. And, saying things about the way they look, their hair, and all this stuff. And it's like you're trying to, appropriate. I mean, she's like the Fresh Princess of appropriation. Always, with the hair, with the clothes. Didn't she? And the thing is, though, did she not go to Africa? Didn't she go to Africa with like a group or something? And there's like a video of her like dancing or something, and like all the kids are looking at her like, who the hell is this white bitch? What the hell? And but if you want to, there's a difference between finding inspiration, appreciating a culture, and just being, giving it the respect, putting some respect on it but the way she does it is she tears people down. There's that one word in the language you can't say, but she says it. She raps it. She puts it on a T-shirt.
Oh, yeah, we can't forget the T-shirt. Wow, how did I forget?
Yeah, the T-shirt. Oh, I'm gonna wear this to the festival. I hope you do. I hope you get your ass beat. And it's just, and I just think, anytime I see white girls with those, when they, get the extensions to put in the box braids, I just think it looks ridiculous. It's just, I think it was silly when Bo Derek did it. I don't know. Our hair ain't meant to be tightly braided for longer than like a day or two anyways. It breaks like spaghetti. Her hair, in about a week, her hair's going to look like pipe cleaners. It's going to look a mess. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's
There's
a way to appreciate, appreciate someone's culture, and I feel like she just takes a big shit on it, and she just says really horrible things about black women, and, I just wish there weren't men that, help her along in her little journey, like,
Yeah.
that's
don't give her a boost. Don't have her on your podcast so she can cry and whine about it, and you know
they
I'm
give her
tired of seeing
oxygen.
her. Yeah, yeah. That's the thing. They give her too much, space for her BS. I don't know.
Because for me, like I've seen people defend her. I've seen black people defend her saying that, oh, she's honorary. She's one of us.
No,
The, the
it
fuck
it,
she
it makes
is.
me mad that they give her the time of day and the space, you know, with her braids and her awful things that she says, while there are actual, little black girls in school that, are getting sent home because of their hairstyle. Um, they can't wear their hair natural, or the schools have these crazy, like, dress codes or whatever. They're punished for basically just being themselves, and then she's appropriating it and just making a mockery of somebody's, you know that actually should be doing that is getting punished for. Does that make sense?
Or
Yes.
he's taking the limelight from actual talented white women in the industry that don't want to feel like they
Oh,
have to literally show their ass, and that they have an
yeah.
appreciation for the culture, especially in the rap business. I mean, yes, Jules
Mhm.
really came into the industry saying, she came into the industry. I mean, I don't even know if it came. She got into the industry, however she got there, basically as for her looks. I mean, I don't know what specifically she does. That's the thing is, I don't really know what she does. I don't know exactly what she does. I don't know if she's like a promoter or
She,
a curator
I don't
or
know.
what.
She writes her little nursery rhymes on YouTube. I don't know.
Like an influencer. She's pretty much a rap influencer. Like for me, Obi, like the part that troubles me is this. Like they're just like Meg said, and she articulated the point beautifully. There's too many dudes, especially black dudes, out there just giving her a pass, like because they, for lack of a better term, all of us are adults. They went on, and it's just the fact that they went on is coloring their objectivity. Look, man, she's out here wild doing whatever and saying reckless things about black women, stealing the culture right from under us, and you got black dudes like, no, no, man, she's cool. Obi, when you see or hear a black person extend a white person the quote unquote honorary, how much respect do you lose for them, and how quickly does that happen?
Well, it man, the crazy thing is this happens so often. Speaking of Yes Jules, there was and like you said, there's so many guys that want to just I mean, really, they're hoping to have sex with her. So it's like
Yeah.
you look at it like even what was his name, Murder Mook. I mean, Murder Mook is a battle rapper
Yeah.
who was famous, and he's like he
He had her
keying
on the
at every little
podcast.
thing she said. Yeah, every little thing she said was the funniest thing ever, and it's okay. You black to me. You could come around my neighborhood and all of this stuff. I'm like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you ain't it wasn't even like he was listening to her points. He's just like, don't worry about it, or you right, whatever. Like, dude, just shut up. This woman is basically relying on people like you to say, well, you don't have to worry about it. It's no big deal. I'm black. I can give you a black card, or who cares? Or what they do is they'll find some way to downgrade other women, black, white, or whatever, that saying, oh, well, they don't look as good. She's fat. They ugly. They poor, whatever, to take away from what she's done. So it's like, what does that have to do with what she said? If this was your mother or your sister or your aunt or whatever, grandmother or whatever, you wouldn't feel like that. So because of the fact that she has this fake ass and she got a sex tape out that she probably leaked on her own, but that's another story. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like, oh man, we gotta, you gotta be Captain Save-A-Ho. Like, first of all, dude, just let her say what that interview really irritated me because it's like he won't even let her talk. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like at the end of the day, it's not up for me to get everybody to accept her apology or anything anyway. But the fact of the matter is that she didn't even get to say the damn apology. She didn't even get to say what she was sorry for. It's like, shut up.
It's the white woman tears.
I just, I mean, I just don't think that. I mean, she's got a big butt, but good Lord, it ain't worth that much.
I mean, it's just one of those things that I mean, like being in Carolina, man. You are a businesswoman.
Mhm.
You have fashion sense. I've seen, you don't dress like a slob apparently. Um,
Well, I reckon I don't.
you come on now, you know what I mean. But when you see the Becky contingent that
Mhm.
will sit there and like either appropriate either like an Indian sari or indigenous uh, apparel,
Mhm.
how badly do you just want to go up and just snatch it off them and say, hey, this is yours to wear?
That leggings company, Lularoe, man, they made so many pairs of leggings and dresses with like African prints, and you see, Becky McCrackerson wearing it, and it's like that that's an African print or a batik print, and it's like I wonder if they even know. Like, do you think this is just geometric print? Like this pattern this pattern means something to a certain culture, and I just think they're just so ignorant they just don't realize it. I'm not that they're not to blame, but I just think that companies make money off of it, and then there's just people ignorant of it. But yeah, it bothers me when I see definitely when people with the Indian saris or the abacas and stuff like that at like weddings and stuff.
I mean,
Um,
I see it a lot here. There are a couple of weddings that had like, how do I say this nicely? Pasty Wisconsin folks dressed
ooh,
in Indian. I'm like, you are the color of 1% milk. That ain't you.
yeah.
Now, now that we hit on, we need to talk about the Carolina aspect of all this. Like, Obi, to you, Obi, as someone who grew up in Maryland, I'm not sure how strongly you follow the University of Maryland, but between
Mm-hmm.
you, Meg, and myself, we have a common enemy as far as basketball. There's a school in Durham that is known for like being, I guess, above average in basketball, but below average in human beings.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Obi, who is your most attested Duke player and your greatest moment of watching Maryland smack Duke?
Well, I think everybody older than me says Christian Laettner, but to me, it would have to be. It'd have to be. That's a good one. It would have to be Jason Williams. I mean, I just never liked him. I mean, I felt for him with the car. I mean, with the motorcycle accident and everything. But as at Duke, man, I just hated him. I've always hated him. Like, uh, you know,
Yeah.
I just never liked him on as a Duke player. In terms of his NBA career, like I said, man, he was a talent, and things went the wrong way for him, and it's really unfortunate. But he's made the best out of his life. But yeah, that's one dude I don't Duke has so many players you just don't like, and it's just like it's just disgusting. But in
All of
terms of
them?
Maryland, I mean, in terms of like, listen, man, you get so much joy out of seeing Maryland beat Duke. Since a kid, it's just like, man, and the crazies and everything, they're just so annoying, and it's just like, I love when seeing Maryland being good enough to beat Duke, and now that we're getting to the point where it's like, okay, we are putting together a serious team again. I just love seeing how stupid Coach K looks walking off the court, shaking hand, after a loss. Because it's like he makes the dumbest faces, and it's just like I just hate Duke. I mean, now, Duke is trying to change the culture with all of these black kids with the fades and all of this stuff and all that stuff, but Duke is Duke. I mean, you can never change that. They are who they are, and that's who they're going to be forever. I just don't like Duke. I can't stand Duke.
I
Yeah.
mean, there is a perverse joy that if Carolina went, let's say they went 2-20, if they beat Duke both times, yes, the season itself was disappointing, but I would take that joy from that season because I have a searing, unadulterated hatred of that school. And every sport, they could be playing Duke in Yahtzee. I'm over there watching. I'm over there watching ESPN5. Watching. I don't give a damn. I'm watching this shit. I'm face on the TV like we need to sit there and get this win. I don't care what the rules are. It could be lawn darts. Nope. Win. Bust their ass one time and let it be known. Meg, who is your least favorite Duke player of all time?
Oh God. I mean, it's probably JJ Redick.
Wow.
Yeah,
How
I hate.
did I forget him? Yeah.
How do you forget him? Lord, 2004 to 2008, he was there. God, I hated that smug bastard. But it was. I hated him. I hated Greg Paulson. And, oh God, what's his name? The one that's on the coaching staff now.
Jeff Capel.
No, coaching staff, younger guy, blonde hair, tall, goofy-looking bastard.
Not Greg Paulus. Mason Plumlee. Ugh.
No, Singleton?
Yes.
I can't
Yeah,
remember.
Singleton. Yep.
Yeah,
That guy.
the blonde dude. Oh, I couldn't stand him because he was so wrong, and he would make these just awful like rat faces like Coach K, and it was just yeah. You never wanted them to zoom in on that kid, but I mean it just Coach K has this talent for just finding the smuggest, douchiest kids in the country, and it's just and with the Cameron crazies. Starting I think it's every October, you got hundreds of people living in the tents outside. What do they call it? They're living in the tents, waiting for the tickets and stuff. Man, I just imagine that section just smelling so terrible. Got all these kids living in the tents.
That's true. That's
hand lotion to regret. It is like, for me, it's growing up in Connecticut and going to North Carolina games. It was different because I would see UConn I would see Duke from Christian Laettner. Christian Laettner is the one person, even when he went to the NBA, and I'm sitting there as a Knicks fan, paying decent money to watch the Knicks at their ass whoop. But this night, it was back in the 90s, so they were good. They're smashing, I think was the old Washington Bullets. Laettner was there. I was sitting with a friend of mine. My friend was sitting there. She said something to him, like, hey, you're garbage, whatever. He calls her a bitch. She wanted to fight him.
That doesn't surprise me.
She talked about...
that?
Huh?
Have you ever watched that 30 for 30?
Yes, all right, so Christian Laettner, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
The one that's, with the most hated dude in baseball, basketball or something like that. And I mean, he really is just an awful human being. I mean, he's just a smug bastard.
So we're sitting there, and she sat there, and she made a joke about his manhood that honestly, he tried to get her kicked out of Madison Square Garden. She holds up a ticket, so I paid $300 for this ticket, and I will fight anyone who tries to remove me. So she sat down. Christian Laettner, Bobby Hurley, Grant Hill, Cherokee Parks, Greg Paulus. When Carolina won their last title, there's a picture of Duke fans who are giving ex-Carolina people issues. There's Vince Carter. There's Julius Peppers. These fans aren't talking directly to them because Julius Peppers is probably the size of a small country,
Mhm.
and Jerry Stackhouse is right there too. These are the players that you don't really want to mess with. And as a Duke moment, whenever Duke loses to Carolina, that is my favorite moment. To see
Mhm.
those fans are the absolute worst. They're the worst individuals. Like you can tell they use the ER.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, Meg, you like I said, you are a season ticket holder, and you have the greatest engagement story, the history of engagement stories. The floor is
Yeah.
yours.
Oh, okay. Well, it started in I had been with my now husband about 6 years. We had gotten season tickets for the 2009 season, which was amazing. And then Duke lose, see, like Hansbrough and Danny Green and all of their senior night. Um, that was amazing. That was probably the highlights of my life. And I thought for sure, I'm like, oh, it's definitely happening today. I mean, we just beat Duke. There ain't no way I ain't walking out of here without a ring. This is the perfect moment. Well, it didn't happen. And I was sad about it, but, we won. It kind of, wasn't a big deal. Well, the following July, we go up there. We're eating at Mama Dip's, which is like soul food, greens, chicken and waffles and stuff like that. And we walk from Mama Dip's down to the Dean Dome, and we're like, my husband was like, well, let's go up there and see if the door's open. This was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, I'm not getting arrested. I'm not getting arrested breaking into the Dean Dome and be all over the news. He's like, no, let's go check the door. Well, he had called ahead, talked to somebody in like the, I don't know, in the not admissions, but athletics or something. And lo and behold, we go to this one entrance, that's over kind of by the museum. The setup. There's like four entrances to it. We go in there, and the damn door's unlocked, and it looks like it's been kind of propped open. And I'm like, hey. So we go in there, and it's, you don't really hear anything. It's kind of silent. You can kind of hear people down on the floor messing around, but it's real quiet. So I'm tiptoeing in there like I'm in the episode of Scooby-Doo, because I don't want to get arrested being in the Dean Dome in the middle of the day, because the security is usually pretty tight there or something. Well, we go down and we were like, well, let's go up to our section and see what we can see. I go up the steps to the second level, and I get up there and I see there's probably about 20, 25 players. There is past players. There's current players from like the championship team, and then there's some recruits. I'm like, there's Tyler Zeller, there's Danny Green, there's Tommy Wilson, there's Dante Calabria, Jackie Manuel. I think even Julius Peppers is there, and just a big array of people. Bobby Fraser, I think he was there too. And I'm like, oh, I turn around real quick. I'm like, we got to get out of here. Oh, there's a bunch of people, important people here. We got to go. I turn around, and he, of course, he's down on one knee. He's like, we've had some of our best moments here, and I don't want to leave here today without knowing that someday you'll be my wife, and, that whole speech, and, I'm happy, and I'm really excited, kind of squealing and stuff, and then next thing you know, everybody down on the floor is looking up there, and it's like, my husband did like a thumbs up, or I was like, I think we just got engaged, and they started like clapping, and were like, good luck, congratulations, and it was, yeah. He had,
Cool.
called ahead and told him that the reason I mentioned Mama Dips is because I had so much sodium at lunch, I could not get the ring off my ring finger to get the damn engagement ring on. I had to just take the engagement ring and just be like, well, just put it in front of this one right here, stuck there until this chicken's out of me. But, yeah, it was kind of crazy getting engaged in front of, like, a bunch of people. It was, like, past current in, like, some recruits, and they were doing some kind of scrimmage because they had some kind of charity game for the AAU ball later that night, and they were just, warming up. But, yeah, we went and sat in our little season ticket seats that we had that year, and, it was really nice. But,
It is the greatest story ever.
Yeah.
It is the greatest story ever. When Meg told, I was like, I mean, that is, as a Carolina fan, it's one of those things you're like,
It's cool because we like we've been able to share it with our kid like this is right this is age right and this is Scott and we won a championship in 2017. We took her down to the the floor in the middle of the floor and let her lay on the floor on the hardwood and take a picture and she's met Ramses and we've met Roy in the past and she met Phil Sanders a couple years ago and it's been nice being able to share that with her. But yeah, she loves Tar Heels very much too.
See, you have raised that child well. I mean, that's just one of those things that, like, parent of the year right there.
I'm always telling you, you better do good in school because if you don't you got to get into Carolina, you better get some scholarships. Got to get some good grades.
You better hit this ball or make this basket, damn it.
I know. I told her, I said, don't you dare apply to Duke. Don't you date nobody from Duke. Don't you date nobody whose parents voted for Trump. I'll kick you out of my house.
Years ago, I was set up on a blind date. Years, like 15, 16 years ago. And the woman was a pre-med. No, she got her undergrad at Duke. And something on basketball came out. I didn't know when she went to school. It was a blind date. This was like when I first moved here, and it was like Susan talking. She's like, "Oh yeah, I've been a basketball fan forever," and I'm sitting there like eating this average pasta, just like okay. And to be honest, my mind's eye is like, I'm not really thinking about this. I'm thinking about what might occur after. I'm just saying, like, I'm honest at this point. I'm like, my mind is on after. And it's like, yeah, just, Coach K has been such an inspiration. You could hear the plate, or you could hear the spoon and fork come out of my mouth and hit the table. Oh, oh, really? Oh, you went to Duke, and we're sitting there talking, and I'm like, was it your first choice or was it your safety school? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I had the internal monologue of, look, bro, like you are on the base pass. You can make this happen. Like this is gonna happen for you. But you're a Carolina fan, and you have that inner monologue of what might happen happens with a Duke fan. This cannot be. This is this. And I sat there, and I sat back in my seat. I put my silverware down. I just looked. I'm like, I could do this and just be all right with it. And then the more she talked about how she hated North Carolina, even though at that time I didn't say I was a fan yet, I wanted to see what her thoughts were. And she said some vileness. I'm like,
yeah.
Wow.
Let me bring you home.
All of a sudden that hand was looking good.
And I was like, I asked for an extra glass of wine. I'm like, nope, let me just take you home. And as bad as it sounds, I never called her again.
Yep, that's a red flag.
That was like, and I have a friend of mine who's like, how did you turn, like, just, she's a Duke fan who had like slander for Carolina. I'm like, I was thinking with the wrong brain at that time, but I was thinking with the right brain. I'm like, nah, I gotta like, defer to my actual mind on this one. Like, I can't let everything else take over. I took one for the school.
Oh my goodness.
Because I have a feeling that some circus-oriented action is about to happen for your man here, and I was like, no. I had to just sit there and let it go. Like, it was one of those things that Duke is one of those places that just it is the firmest of no. It is just no. It is no. But I know with the end of the year, I want to get to the best and worst. So, Obi, I'll ask you first, and Meg, I'll come to you after Obi. Obi, what is your best TV moment of the year?
In terms of anything?
One event.
Oh, boy. I would have... Damn, that's a good one. I don't know. Let me see.
Why are you always surprised when I ask a question? I've been asking a question for like a year now, man. Come on now.
I know, but that's throwing me off because I just watch... the TV that I watch is like sports and catching up on shows that I missed 3 days ago and stuff like that. Let me think. I gotta really think about it. Let me come back.
You want me to?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your
I'm
best
trying
moment?
to think.
I'll give mine, and then y'all can jump in. My best TV moment of the entire year was sitting there on that Sunday night watching the darkest episode of TV in the history of TV. Like, I had to turn up the contrast and the brightness to like 800 to be able to see through Game of Thrones. I'm like, and then I'm
Oh, yeah, that was a good episode. That's true.
and then I'm
And then it
watching
all went
like
to shit.
it went completely to shit. I'm sitting there watching the Night King about to like put the hand down, and Arya comes out of nowhere, and when he yoked her, I was like, oh no, like I was about to be upset. I was like, no, you can't be killing her. She still has to apparently go off and colonize at the end of the show, but that's not the story. Um, but when he yoked her and like, oh, he's about to hit, but when the knife fell and she got him, one of those moments, as badly as that show ended, that was one of the stand up and cheer moments. You're stunned at the fact that all that time she's been practicing and just getting better and going blind and you know breaking off injury. And people like just kind of just helping folks out and just doing her thing. And she has one of the most pivotal moments in that show's history, and that was the best moment of the year for me. So did either one of you come up with a moment yet?
Yes, I did.
Go ahead.
The Nationals winning Game 7 of the World Series.
Oh, God, here you go.
That was the best moment of 2019. I didn't even wait. I didn't even wait to see it. As soon as I figured that it was going to happen, we got in the car and went down to the stadium. And by the time we got down, halfway there, they said the Nationals are World Series champions, and then it was a traffic jam. It was amazing.
I mean, Meg, have you come up with one yet?
Oh man, I'm thinking. I feel like I watch a ton of like TV and stuff, but then I feel like maybe it's just a lot of looking at memes on the internet. I cannot think right now. I mean, I don't know if y'all saw. If y'all watched Breaking Bad, I thought that movie El Camino, the little.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I thought that was real good. That was probably
That was good.
the most satisfying kind of sequel thing that I've seen in a while.
That was damn good. That was damn good.
Yeah. I love Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Obi, what was your least? Let me ask you this: as far as celebrities, who deserves the worst celebrity of the year, the worst person of the year, celebrity-wise?
Worst would have to be. It would have to be Post Malone.
Oh wow!
No. Let me take that back. Worst will have to be. Can I say Donald Trump?
That's every year.
So I would have to say, Lizzo. Oh shoot, I almost forgot Lizzo. Golly, how did I forget that? Lizzo. Oh man, just annoying. Just we talked about this before. Just an attention seeker. Like, come on, go to sleep. It's annoying.
Meg, who's your worst?
I feel like Lizzo and Post Malone were both like white girl kryptonite this year. Like, yeah, like
Post
I
Malone
feel
got
like
$300 Crocs.
I feel like Post Malone. I don't really like his music, but it's like he's like adorable in like how like pig pen on Snoopy is adorable. He's like the human embodiment of like Pigpen. It's just you want. I don't know. It just reminds me of like a little stray dog or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh my God!
I think
not
I
Big
got tired of Lizzo because my kid loves Lizzo, and I'm really sick of Billie Eilish. My kid really likes Billie Eilish a lot. Like she wants to listen to Billie Eilish and Lil Nas X, and she wants to like, dress like Billie Eilish, and drives me crazy. But at least it's not Kids Bop.
Oh God, Mike's son, he's 3. There's a song called "Stay." It was popular not this summer but last summer by Alessia Cara. It's kind of a
Oh, yeah,
he has
yeah,
played that goddamn song about a billion times. He watches the video because
yeah.
he's like he is captivated by her because they're probably the same height now, and he's sitting there like his eyes get all big. He's like, "Play more." Oh, bro, come on now. Let's not wear
Yeah.
this out. And it's just been like I will sit there and say, "Well, I forgot the channel. The channel won't work. No, TV went off. No, I'm not really having it." But Meg, who is the person you think that will have the best 2020 as far as celebrity, politician, whoever?
Um. Hmm. The best.
Yep.
Hmm. I don't think anybody in politics is gonna have a good year. Um. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Nancy Pelosi. I don't know.
Or what are you looking forward to most next year?
Oh God. Um. I don't know. I guess just a new year is always optimistic. When you try to convince yourself that you might be able to vote and change things, there's always that little hope that maybe it'll be like 2008, and you feel that kind of hope again. Um. But yeah. I'm hoping that the show my kid was on gets renewed so that she can have another job again. That'd be nice. Um. But other than that, I don't know. I just hope I can still, I don't know. I just hope there's less Kardashians, maybe less Kanye.
I agree. I can. I'm looking forward to like the Black Widow movie. I'm looking forward to the Mulan action movie.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that,
as
yeah.
corny as it's and as corny as it sounds, because it's been about 18, 19 years. The last Bad Boys movie comes out January 17th. I know they're old as hell.
Yeah, yeah, Bad Boys. That was one of my, yeah, I remember seeing the first Bad Boys on like one of my first dates. So I'm excited about that. And Black Widow, and I hope that is the new Wonder Woman movie coming out next year. Is
Yes,
that
Wonder
next
Woman
year or the year after?
1984.
Yeah, I hope that's good. I hope that's good.
I just Bad Boys is one of those movies that I think the second was better than the first, but they're all great. But it's just one of those movies that you waited so long for the sequel, they need to end it on the right note. Just one of those things that just get it right one last time and go off in the sunset and let it finally be. Obi,
Yeah.
what are you looking forward to as far as movies or music in 2020?
I'm looking forward. You know what? It's not even concrete, but I'm looking forward to getting some news on where the hell this Jamie Foxx Mike Tyson biopic is. It's what has this been 3 years since we got that interview? I think Jamie Foxx did with Hot 97, and then he did it with somebody else where he talked about the first scene of the movie and got everybody all hyped up, and there's been nothing about it since. But I was reading on this forum that there's supposed to be some information coming about, the movie and what we're gonna get and all this stuff. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Secondly, I want to have to say Bad Boys because of the fact that I'm so happy that that Martin Lawrence is back to work and working through his depression and everything, and you know,
Mhm.
I just love seeing him being able to get back to business. But I don't really think it's going to be that funny. I think it'll be more action as we've seen in the trailer. I don't think it'll be a funny movie, but I think it'll be a good movie. I thought Bad Boys One was a really good movie. I thought Bad Boys Two was a funny movie. I think this one will be pretty interesting in terms of the action with Will Smith pretty much carrying the weight. But I'm really happy to see Martin back on the big screen in a
It is good to
major
see
film. Let me
Marvel.
say that.
It is good to see him like in the in a big movie. This movie's been too. They've taken way too long to like make it happen. But I'm not gonna be mad. On January 17th, I live about half a mile from a movie theater. I'm gonna sit there on that big recliner and watch this movie and like enjoy it like it's 2002 or 2003, whatever the last one came out. Meg, before we
Hmm.
get out of
Mhm.
here, can you tell people about where they can interact with on Twitter and your online store, things like that? Whatever you want people to know.
Twitter is one ONE Dank Mom, very dank mom, but it's one dank mom at Twitter. And the shop is Cookie Bella Creations on Etsy. You got any cool characters, sports scenes, anything you can't find in the store? I can make it for you. Yeah, that's about it.
See,
It's yeah, no, yeah. Twitter's probably the best place, but
yes.
yeah, lots of curse
Like
words and vulgarity, so not around the children.
Meg is the last person when I'm on my phone. If I'm in a meeting, I'm checking my phone. I pray as funny as she is, like, please don't let it show up. Just says something. I just like tear inducing. I just sit there start like crying. 'Cause I'm trying to choke on the worst laugh in the history of laughs. It just it hits you funny. It's just like oh shit, that was kind of funny. Like oh, like it surprises you every time, even though you know it's coming. It's like watching something that you know is about to happen. It's like it just because you never know what will come out of her mouth. Just it just that,
I'm just terribly perverted and I guess blunt, you know.
and it is the
That's
best. It
most of my
is.
friends are used to it. Oh, can I give a testimonial? I want to give a
Yeah,
testimonial on you saved my cornbread the other day.
yeah.
Yeah.
Terry, you saved my cornbread the other day.
Oh my God.
You told
Yes.
me to, remember you. Anytime I make
Woo!
cornbread, cause it's a good cornbread recipe, but it would still be kind of crumbly, you know. Especially if you know the next day or something if you didn't eat it all. But I don't know, adding that sour cream. Oh,
Yeah.
I was very excited. I was real
Meg,
excited about it.
Meg is a purveyor of fine Southern cuisine, as Obi and myself are. Well, I live in Wisconsin. I'm just a purveyor of hoping I'll just find some good Southern food up here. But she had a cornbread issue, and I was sitting there. We just, you know what? When I make cornbread, sour cream, it keeps it moist. It's soft. It works for it. Just like depending on the size of the pan, it could be like a quarter cup or whatever. Just it works. Sour cream will keep
Because
it.
you're like me. You hate Jiffy and you don't like
Yes.
sweet cornbread, right?
No.
Yeah.
Regular cornbread. And it worked. A little bit of cornbread. That I learned that from my grandmother. My grandma was the most old school Southern person ever. She's like, now give me some of that corn, give me some of that sour cream, and she would take it and just work like a charm. It is the ancient big secret. Now that the world knows. Obi, can you tell
Yep.
people about your book and where they can find you and what you're working on?
Yes. The book is called Bouncy Baby. It's available on Amazon, iTunes, Barnes and Noble, Walmart.com, etc. It's about go-go music and what it means to Washington, Washington D.C., Maryland area, why it's important to me, and how it helped shape my life. And it's available in ebook and hard copy. And my Twitter is OBEE, the number one NE, and it's just like basically, you know, like we said a couple weeks ago. A couple weeks ago, it was up in the air whether or not the Raiders season was over. The Raiders season is over now. So, despite all the hypotheticals people want to say about possibly getting the playoffs and all this other nonsense, Raiders are 6-8. It's time to look at what can be done now and which players fit this team because the Raiders need a lot of fit. So right now it's all about draft profiles. It's all about the road to 400. That's the hashtag, road to 400. The road to 400 is about getting to 400 draft profiles before the draft. So that's what it's all about. And just right now, just watching a lot of tape, looking at players that are on some of these bowl games like collegiate, senior, shrine, etc. that I don't know, figuring out why I don't know them and how they possibly could be a fit for the Raiders.
You can find me at T-Biggs, capital T, capital B, lowercase, everything else. Just like what we said, working on draft profiles. If you want pictures of my kid at her a holiday concert and like just having a good time and just basic stuff. It's a little bit of politics, it's a little bit of music, it's a little bit of just my view on the world. It's I'm not one of these big accounts trying to be it's basic thoughts. Meg, my friend, family member of this, thank you so much for joining us tonight. The door will always be open. Oh my God, that was hilarious. Thank you so much. Obi, we'll see you next week.
Yes, sir.
It's been another episode of the Black Tuesday podcast. Everybody be good to each other for once. Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Goodbye.
To get to your level 82 times a night for 60 games, if you feel you're better than, you're going to be in that second season, it is a challenge for a coach and it's a challenge for the players, but we'll meet it.
Look, there's a reason why I think Bruce Cassidy is a fantastic NHL coach. I mean, a lot of that has to do with, he knows what this team is. He has a good grasp on who they are when during various parts of the season. And look, I think he nailed it. He kind of echoed kind of what you started to say was, there hasn't been a complete 60-game effort or a 60-minute effort from this team in quite some time. And look, it's been masked because this team has so much talent and drive to be successful. And they, at the end of the day, they're a really great team. That they can come back in situations. However, that's not something you want to depend on throughout the season because as the season grows, as it gets longer, as you get into the